Well, hey, and welcome to another episode of Beatle Dustino, coming at you today with yet another video, another What's in the Box video. Before we do get started though, I do want to thank all my subscribers. Thanks to any new subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you do like the video, also give it a like. And please leave a comment. I do love having a discussion with everybody. And of course, do check me out on Instagram too. Still trying to figure that out. All right, but anyways, let's get on with this next What's in the Box video.
I'll take the box! The box!
You took the box! Let's see what's in the box! Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
So yeah, as always, unlike the Wheel of Fish, there is something in this box. And I'm going to do kind of a double header today. We're going to do two boxes. They're kind of related, not very big. So I guess we'll go through two different boxes here. And this is coming at you as a request by my buddy Beatles Tone. He let me know he was interested in getting the US albums box. And I kind of said you might want to check out the Capitol albums, Volume 1 and Volume 2 a little. Being that they do got the different mixes, the true Capitol mixes, where the US albums does not. However, I am going to show in the next video will be another What's on the Rack video, but the next one after that, a week from today, will be the US albums box. And I do got another special request for him too. I do got a fake US albums box, and I'll show that. That'll probably be, thinking my next Saturday video, a week from this coming Saturday. So just kind of a heads up on what I got coming. But of course today we are going to talk about Capitol Albums Volume 1 and Capitol Albums Volume 2. A couple of interesting albums here, or box sets I should say. They issued the first one, Volume 1, came out on December 15th of 2004. And this one doesn't have much controversy or any oddness to it, where, aside from the packaging, which we'll get into, where Volume 2, you do got to watch out for something if you are wanting those true mixes. So, and we'll get into that too as I get to Volume 2. But anyways, we'll show you Volume 1 here to start. And this is the long box version. There is a brick version, they call it. And I'll kind of show you how they package that coming up here. But there's the front, there's the spine, the back, and the other side here where the disc, everything is housed there. And I'll show you sliding this out, and you do got to be careful. This is the trick with Volume 1. They really messed up this packaging. So it slides out like this, and you'll see it flops over. And that's how the brick version is. So the brick version will just have a different slip sleeve where it sits like this. But see, right there, you can see the problem here with this. The disc and the book come out the ends here. And that's kind of a issue. These fall right out. You open up the box and all your discs are dropping to the ground. Mine aren't. I got a little trick here I'll show you. But anyways, book on one side, disc on the other. There you can see the book's coming out. The book I couldn't do a fix for as easy. So speaking of the book, we'll start with that. And I'll just flip through it kind of quick here. Might even fast forward it like I've been doing. Nice little book though. A lot of cool pictures of the guys. And talking about their first 4 albums here in the US. It's kind of give or take on these boxes too, because you are missing some albums where the US albums box does get you kind of the complete US albums, where this wasn't really completed, and there are some albums that aren't necessarily Capitol, so they didn't put them in these boxes, obviously. One being the United Artists release of A Hard Day's Night, which is included in the US albums box. And almost to the end here. I'm trying to talk through it for once, maybe that way I don't gotta zip it. But of course, this does feature the first 4 albums, Capitol albums, which would be Meet the Beatles' second album, Something New, and Beatles 65, which came out in 64 and featured all music from 64. So why is it Beatles 65? Question I don't think we'll ever know. But anyways, I got the disc out here, and here's my little secret. First off, I always put the inner sleeve thing here. I like that little rice paper or whatever you call that, like the Japanese releases get. I bought just a bunch of those, and I like to keep them in any disc and slip sleeves. And there's my little secret there. There was enough room to fit the Capitol Albums Volume 1 promotional sample disc that came out. So I'll start with this, I suppose. There's the front cover of it. So it's got 2 songs from each album, plus in stereo and mono. So 8 songs, 16 total tracks, just presented in stereo mono. There's the spine, just the rainbow label. And of course, they do not come with this. That's something I did. But there's the disc. And of course, we got Meet the Beatles next. Now, another thing with Volume 1, they didn't put anything on the spine on these, so it's just kind of a blank spine. These are not by any means like mini LP style. They're just cardboard slip sleeves. Nothing more than that. The disc looked wonderful though. That Rainbow Capitol label on them, so good. And they do feature, as I said, each one does feature the stereo mix will be first, and then the mono mix. I think the US box did the opposite way. You got the mono mix, then the stereo mix. So you do got 2 mixes of each album on here. And these are true to the Capitol Albums mixes. So they're mastered from the Submaster tapes from Capitol that Dave Dexter Jr. had done back in the 60s. And of course they feature fold down mono, the duophonic, I think Capitol called that. They also feature a lot of reverb, especially this album, which is also sped up just slightly. This one, of course, Beatles' second album, probably one of the most beloved Capitol albums that did come out. The names they give these, Meet the Beatles, second album, something new. Nothing to be desired there. But yeah, the track list on this and that reverb and the kind of sped up, it is a great album. It really is. It's probably my favorite of these. Rubber Soul might also be, but that one's hard for me not to love. But there's something new. I'll show you the spine with nothing on it. And the back here. And there is the disc. And then Beatles 65. Which is a lot of songs from Beatles for Sale. And the blank spine. There we go. So yeah, at the beginning, I guess I did say not a lot of controversy with Volume 1 where there was a lot, but a lot of it was with the packaging. Not so much did they completely mess up the mixes. So my trick, now that I've got that a little more stuffed in there with an additional disc and the inner sleeve thing, I always keep the book up top. You can see the book there, so that way it's a little easier to squeeze in here. And then it slides in pretty easy and you don't got everything falling all out. So yeah, if you do got that promotional sampler, good place to pop it in there. Plus just those inner sleeves kind of help it puff out a little more there to get a little more space. And I'll show you kind of what they did with Volume 2. So here is Volume 2. And this one features the early Beatles, Beatles 6, Help, and Rubber Soul. Beatles 6 and Rubber Soul are the ones that got the incorrect mixes. The initial releases of this were released with fold down mono mixes of whatever, I think it was the UK stereo mixes, so I mean not even anywhere close to what they should have been. They did correct the disc, and I'll show you, I do got a corrected box. This particular one is a bad one. This has got the bad mixes on it. But there's the front. I've been holding the front forever here. And then the spine, and bottom, top, side. I got the purple side, I guess, going on this. Now you'll see, as I'm pulling this out, oh, it was quite dusty there. There we go. Now it's dusted off. Don't have the same problem. They got smart. They put the disc coming out the middle. Still folds like Volume 1, but everything's coming out the middle instead of out the sides. Again, they did have the brick version on this too, so the brick version would just sit like this, go into a slip sleeve like that, so your spine would be like that. So we'll look at the book again first. This one I do not have the promotional sampler, so guess we'll skip that for this one. But oh, they even do talk about introducing the Beatles, which is VJ Records, not Capitol, so that's another reason why that's not in here. So of course with this, they didn't really complete it. I did have a video very early on in my channel where I did a what if video talking about what if they did make a Capitol Albums Volume 3, what would be in it. The obvious ones are Revolver and Yesterday and Today, or Yesterday and Today and Revolver, I guess in that order. And after that, it's kind of, what would you do? Because at that point, then everything did kind of become standardized. Magical Mystery Tour was technically a Capitol album, it's been adopted into the main core canon now, so that could be a possibility. Some people say Sgt. Pepper's, I suppose it didn't have the run out groove on the US version. A little different, slightly different cover to it. Hey Jude would be another option, but again, yes, it was distributed by Capitol, but it was an Apple label. So, and then maybe even throwing in A Hard Day's Night, even though it technically is United Artists, but I believe it was also kind of distributed from Capitol on that. Anyways, there's the disc coming out, and I don't know if I really showed you the spines there. Another cool thing they did there, and one thing I didn't show you the inside of the other one, but it's just this white inner here, and they did put a little additional cardboard in the Volume 2 one. And that's what kind of helps those stick in there a little better. Getting onto the disc here, we'll start with the early Beatles. And right away, you can see now there's a spine too. And they did include the spine on the Volume 2. Again, the same deal. You do got the stereo mix first and then the mono mix. Then Beatles 6. And this, of course, is the one with the incorrect mixes on it. You're not going to notice anything from the disc, though, aside from the matrix code. The uncorrected ones are RE1, it ends with. The corrected ones are RE2. And I looked through my sets, and sure enough, it does match up. Everyone in this set is an RE1. Early Beatles and Help in the other box are RE1s yet, but Beatles 6 and Rubber Soul are both RE2s. So that's another way to kind of tell if you're just kind of unsure. The other thing too, the disc length is a little longer on the corrected ones. Yeah, Beatles 6, the correct one would be 56 minutes and 16 seconds. The incorrect would be 56:01. Rubber Soul would be 59:08 for the correct one, and 59:01 for the incorrect one. There's some too in the correct mono mix for Rubber Soul on Norwegian Wood. You'll hear a distinct cough somewhere in Norwegian Wood. There's also a false start on, I think it's a false start on I'm Looking Through You. That wouldn't be on the incorrect one. It would be on the correct one. But anyways, let's get on. I forgot to show you Help. I'm kind of getting into this on what to look for with the corrected versus incorrect ones. And so there is Help, and of course this would be a gatefold if this was correct to like a mini LP style. This is just the slip sleeve. So, and then Rubber Soul, as I was already discussing it there. Let's see here. I'm not going to try to show you those matrix codes because I don't think they're going to show up on this. The big telltale on the correct versus incorrect boxes, especially if you find sealed boxes, is look at the hype sticker. And it's hard to see on this. I really had a hard time seeing it. But there should be an SK1 down here at the very bottom, at the very end of that bottom line. It'll say SK1. That is the corrected disc. Luckily, I found this used copy. They had left the shrink wrap on it with the hype sticker. So I was very secure on that. And I didn't look until just today on that RE1 versus RE2. And these do definitely have the RE2. I do know I listened for the audio cues and the disc length and everything. So I do know that I got the correct one now. So yeah, do be on the lookout for that to make sure you're getting the correct mixes, especially if you are looking for this to have the true Capitol mixes. As a matter of fact, that other mix wouldn't be true to anything. The only thing it would be true to is the incorrect Capitol Albums Volume 2 box. But anyways, as for values on these, the Volume 1 box is very easy to find and fairly affordable. I would say I did find some as low as about, I would question it, but I did see one, I think it was about $20 and then a little with shipping on Discogs, and I'll have the prices up here to have kind of correct. I did find it on both eBay and Amazon fairly easily, so that one's not hard to find. Volume 2 is getting tricky to find, and also on that, the fact that it's getting tricky to find, you're also having to look for the correct mix if you do want those correct mixes, and that does get kind of tricky there. That one I would say buy through Discogs, because those guys really know what they're selling there. I haven't seen too many sellers on Discogs that aren't very aware of it, and definitely make sure that the description says something in it. And even if you're not sure, even based on descriptions, send a question to the seller. They usually are working out of a record shop or something, so they're aware of what's going on there. So definitely look into that. Prices are a little pricey on Volume 2 also. With it being a little trickier to find, prices are a little higher, so that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, Volume 2 might be a little tricky to get, but well worth it if you're looking for those true Capitol mixes. And Volume 2 also, I would say, even though, like I said, none of these are, to me, I grew up in the CD era with the Beatles. I am from the US. These are completely foreign to me, these Capitol albums. I got into the Beatles in the 90s, so the CDs from 87 were well out there, and it was pretty established. The UK track listing and such was the way to go, was the canon throughout the world. The only exception was Magical Mystery Tour, of course, that was kind of adopted into the UK canon. That's always what I've went with until I got the Capitol albums Volume 1 and 2. I think I got the US albums before I got these, to tell you the truth. Until I got those, I had never really heard this order, and you know, the reverb and the sped up and the fold down monos and the so forth and so on that Capitol did with the Beatles records there. These are quite foreign to me, and I quite prefer the UK stuff. I suppose it's what I learned the Beatles on and what I grew up with. And I totally get it if you did grow up listening to these Capitol versions and that's the Beatles to you. I totally get that. I just have a hard time with it. Now, one thing I do really like, Rubber Soul. The track listing on it and everything is so cool. But Rubber Soul is my favorite UK album of theirs. I would say it's probably my favorite US album too. And Help and A Hard Day's Night, I'm getting a little ahead of myself with the US box, but they do got the orchestral score from the film, and that's kind of cool. And Help does got that kind of James Bond intro on the song Help that you did see in the film. That's kind of cool, that little addition. And I do believe they did include that on the US albums one too. And like Beatles 6 is a really good album too. I mean, look at that track listing. That's pretty good. Actually, you can probably see it better there. But so not all of them are bad. It's just getting used to it. And as I've been collecting Beatles vinyl, obviously in the US, I'm going to have a lot easier time finding the Capitol albums than I am the UK albums. So that's kind of been my vinyl exploration of the Beatles as I'm getting back into vinyl. Now trying to rediscover the Beatles through a different version, but I still don't find myself listening to it that much because it's just so odd to me. I guess that's the way to put it. I would say though, if you're a completist and everything and do want, especially if you're looking to get the unique mixes and that, this would be the route to go. The Capitol albums would be the way to go. So I hope that helps you out. Anybody that's looking to get into these, this course, especially for you, Beatles Tone. So I hope I steered you in the right direction on this. But anyways, I feel like I've really been rambling here, but there is a lot to kind of unfold in this. And I feel like I should have done this video before I did my what if on Volume 3 from that. So check out my what if from Volume 3. I'll probably put a link in the description for it. Maybe that'll make a little more sense to people if you're not familiar with these albums too much. Anyways, I do want to thank everybody again for tuning in. I want to thank all my subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed, you've stuck around to this point, you must like it. So please give me a subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, as Beatles Tone says. So, hey, go for it. Do give the video a like if you liked it, and please leave a comment. I love having a discussion with everybody. Let me know your thoughts on the Capitol albums. Let me know if you got these sets. Let me know if you were having a hard time finding Volume 2 or had got it but got the incorrect mixes. Luckily, Capitol did send out, I forgot to mention that, you could send away for the correct mixes for those 2 discs. So Capitol did a really good job helping people on that, making sure they did get those correct mixes when they figured out someone was wrong. Anyways, I'm going to get signing out. I'm Beatles Destino, signing out.